Imagine a garden, not just any garden, but Eden, a place of unimaginable beauty and tranquility, a sanctuary where every leaf, every petal, and every blade of grass seemed to be painted by the hand of a divine artist. Lush greenery stretched as far as the eye could see. Vibrant flowers painted the landscape, creating a tapestry of colors that danced in the sunlight. The air was filled with the sweet fragrance of blossoms, and it hummed with the music of life. Birds sang melodious tunes, insects buzzed harmoniously, and the gentle rustle of leaves whispered secrets of the ages. Here in this divine haven, God walked with Adam and Eve, the first humans, in the cool of the day. They strolled through the garden, their hearts light and their spirits free. Their hearts knew no malice, their minds no deceit. Innocence was their garment and purity their shield. They were the epitome of untainted humanity, living in a state of blissful ignorance of evil. They lived in perfect harmony with their Creator and all that surrounded them. Every creature, every plant, every element of nature was in sync, creating a symphony of existence that resonated with peace and joy. But this paradise, like a fragile flower, was about to be touched by the frost of disobedience. The serenity of Eden was on the brink of being shattered by a single act of defiance. Genesis chapter 3 tells the story of this fall from grace, a pivotal moment in the annals of human history. It is a narrative woven with temptation, consequence, and the enduring spirit of humanity. The serpent, cunning and deceitful, whispered promises of knowledge and power. Adam and Eve, in their innocence, were swayed by the allure of forbidden fruit. The bite they took was not just of an apple, but of the very essence of disobedience. In that moment, their eyes were opened, and they saw the world through the lens of their transgression. Shame and guilt replaced their innocence, and the harmony of Eden was forever disrupted. They were cast out of the garden, their paradise lost. Yet even in their exile, the memory of Eden lingered, a reminder of what was and what could have been. The world outside Eden was harsh and unforgiving, a stark contrast to the lush garden they once called home. But within them burned a spark of hope, a desire to reclaim the lost paradise. And so they toiled, they struggled, and they persevered. For within the human spirit lies an indomitable will to overcome, to seek redemption, and to find a way back to the paradise lost. Among the creatures that roamed this paradise lived a serpent, cunning and sly. He was a creature of beauty, his scales shimmering like jewels, but beneath this alluring exterior lurked a darkness, a desire to disrupt the peace of Eden. The serpent, with calculated steps, approached Eve. His voice, a silken whisper carried on the gentle breeze, slithered into her thoughts, planting a seed of doubt that would soon blossom into rebellion.
Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?
We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, "You must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die."
You will not certainly die. For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.
The seed of doubt planted by the serpent's cunning words grew into a tree of temptation. The serpent, with its sly and deceitful nature, knew exactly how to manipulate the thoughts and desires of the innocent. Its whispers were like a poison slowly seeping into the mind, creating a web of confusion and curiosity. Eve looked at the forbidden fruit. It wasn't just any fruit. It was the fruit that God had explicitly commanded them not to eat. Yet there it hung, glistening in the sunlight, almost calling out to her. The more she looked at it, the more she felt an inexplicable pull towards it. It appeared so desirable, so full of promise. The fruit seemed to hold the secrets of the universe within its skin, promising knowledge and power beyond imagination. It was as if the fruit was alive, pulsating with an energy that was both alluring and dangerous. The serpent's words echoed in her mind, "You will be like God." The promise of becoming like God, of knowing good and evil, was too tempting to resist. Eve's mind was a battlefield of thoughts and emotions, torn between obedience to God and the tantalizing promise of the serpent. She reached out, plucked the fruit from the branch, and took a bite. The moment her teeth sank into the flesh of the fruit, a rush of sensations overwhelmed her. It was sweet, yet there was an underlying bitterness that she couldn't quite place. The sweetness turned to ash in her mouth as she realized the magnitude of her actions. She had disobeyed God. The weight of her transgression settled heavily on her shoulders, and a sense of dread filled her heart. The once beautiful and tempting fruit now seemed like a symbol of her downfall. Eve then offered the fruit to Adam, who, despite knowing the consequences, also succumbed to temptation. Adam, seeing the change in Eve, felt a mix of fear and curiosity. He took the fruit from her hand and with a heavy heart took a bite. In that moment the world around them seemed to shift, and they both knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Section 5. Shame's shadow, nakedness, and fear. As Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, a profound shift occurred. Where once they had felt only oneness with God and each other, shame now cast its shadow. They saw their nakedness, a vulnerability they had never before perceived. Fear, an emotion foreign to their hearts, crept in like a venomous snake. They sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves, hiding from each other and, most significantly, from God. The tranquility of the garden was shattered. God, in the cool of the day, came to walk with Adam and Eve, but they were nowhere to be found.
Where are you?
His voice, a blend of concern and disappointment, echoed through the garden. Adam and Eve, trembling in their hiding place, answered, their voices thick with fear.
The Lord asked, "Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?"
The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it. Adam's voice trembled as he spoke, his eyes darting between Eve and the Almighty. He felt the weight of his actions pressing down on him, yet he couldn't help but shift the blame. The forbidden fruit, now just a memory, had changed everything. The garden, once a paradise, now felt like a place of judgment.
The serpent deceived me and I ate. Eve's voice was filled with sorrow and regret. She looked at the serpent, its eyes gleaming with malice, and then back at God. The serpent's words had seemed so convincing, so harmless. But now the reality of her disobedience was clear. She had been deceived, and the consequences were unfolding before her eyes.
Their attempts to evade responsibility were in vain. God, in his infinite wisdom, held each accountable for their actions. He looked at Adam, Eve, and the serpent and pronounced their fates. The garden, once a place of harmony, was now a place of reckoning. Each would bear the weight of their choices, and the world would never be the same. The serpent, cursed for his deceit, would crawl on his belly and eat dust. No longer would it stand tall, but it would slither in the dirt, a constant reminder of its treachery. The serpent's fate was sealed, and its legacy would be one of shame and degradation. Pain and toil would accompany childbirth for Eve and all women to come. The joy of bringing new life into the world would be marred by suffering. Eve's transgression had brought this upon her, and every mother after her would feel the echoes of that first sin. The miracle of birth, intertwined with the agony of labor, was now a part of the human experience. Adam, forced to toil the ground for sustenance, would face a life of hardship. The earth, once bountiful and generous, would now yield its fruits only through sweat and struggle. Adam's days would be filled with labor, and the ground would resist his efforts. The ease of the garden was gone, replaced by a world where survival required relentless effort. The weight of sin had transformed their existence, and the path ahead was fraught with challenges. Paradise lost. The bond of trust between God and humanity, shattered by disobedience, resulted in a heartbreaking consequence: expulsion from the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve were cast out, forced to navigate a world now tainted by sin and suffering. The gates of Eden were closed behind them, guarded by cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth, a constant reminder of their transgression. Despite the somber reality of their fall, a glimmer of hope remained. God, in his infinite mercy, promised a Redeemer, one who would crush the serpent's head and restore the broken covenant. He clothed Adam and Eve in garments of skin, a tangible symbol of his enduring love and provision for his children, even in their exile. This promise, whispered amidst the ruins of paradise, offered a beacon of hope for humanity's redemption.
The story of Adam and Eve's fall is not just an ancient tale confined to the pages of Genesis. It is a timeless narrative that continues to resonate deeply within the human experience. It speaks to the enduring themes of temptation, disobedience, the consequences of sin, and the enduring power of hope and redemption. It reminds us that even in our brokenness, we are loved by a merciful God who offers us a path back to Him. What lessons do you take from this story, and how do they impact your life today? Share your thoughts in the comments below.